Animate using paths. Now that we know all the different options and parameters that are available and animatable inside a shape layer, we can move to the most important option, the path parameter. You might be thinking, why is being able to animate a path so important? It's important because it allows us to animate almost anything and get great results without having to go to the traditional route of frame-by-frame animation, as After Effects automatically generates frames between key poses set as keyframes. That means I can transform this circle into a square by rearranging the nodes and handles in the circle shape until it becomes a square. After that, After Effects will do the rest. To those that used Adobe Flash for animating, this is something similar to tweens. The one thing that we need to consider is that there is one limitation. In order to get good interpolation and animation between two shapes, we can't have shapes with different amounts of nodes. I mean, it's not like you can't have varying nodes, but it might translate poorly when After Effects tries to interpolate between the two shapes. Here's an example of the same circle that has 4 nodes, and I'll animate it so that it becomes a star. To do this, I'll set my first keyframes as a circle, and then copy and paste my star shape from Illustrator to a different timecode to create a new keyframe. Now when I play the animation, you'll see that it's a mess and not transitioning properly. You might be thinking that I just need to add the same amount of nodes that the star has to my circle so that it can transform correctly. Unfortunately, it's not that simple, and I'll show you why. We would need to add 6 more nodes to the 4 existing ones on our circle to match the 10 nodes that make up the star. I'll even add these nodes to the circle roughly where they should be in relation to the star. But as you can see, when I play the animation, it's still not animating correctly, and you might be wondering why. Well, this has to do with the way the shapes are constructed. Believe it or not, Illustrator and After Effects know which nodes were placed first and last, as well as the positions of the nodes in relation to each other. The problem occurs when we have 2 shapes that have no direct node correlation to each other. When we add new nodes, After Effects randomly decides which nodes on the circle are going to correlate with the ones on the star. Why then did the transformation animation work between my circle and square? Well, it's quite simple when you think about it. I manually moved the nodes into their new position to create the square. So After Effects knew that this side of the circle should become this corner of my square, and the same goes for all the other nodes. So how do we make it work so that we get a circle that turns into a star effectively? Well, for this part, I suggest we start by working on the transformation in Illustrator, as it will make it easier to edit and move the shape nodes around. I'll start by duplicating my star to have the final shape, and then placing the second star inside a circle. I'll then proceed to select the inner nodes of the star that are not touching the circle by pressing A and using the Direct Selection tool. Now I can move them so that they are touching the circle. Next, I'll press V to go back into the normal selection tool and double-click on the shape to go into isolation mode, where I can select the nodes without touching the circle by pressing and using the Direct Selection tool once more. Now I'll select a few of them and press the button at the top to smooth the paths. This will add handles to the sharp edges. Then I'll select a few of them that are missing and do the same. Unfortunately, if we select all of them at the same time, the option to smooth doesn't show at the top. That's why I had to do it this way. All that's left is to arrange the handles so that we get a circle shape, and we can do this using our circle in the back as reference. Now we have a circle that was created from the shape of the star, and if we copy and paste each shape as a keyframe, you'll see that the animation works perfectly now, and we get this smooth transition between shapes. Another problem you might run into when creating this kind of shape animation is when you mirror or flip shades, either horizontally or vertically. To explain better, I'll go back to Illustrator and create a rectangle, then add 2 nodes on each side. Then I'll duplicate it to have my starting shape and modify the duplicate to create the half of an hourglass shape. Next, I'll copy the shapes as keyframes in After Effects to create this animation between both of them. Now you would think I could mirror the shape and have it transform from the left hourglass shape to a rectangle and then to the right hourglass shape. But when we do it, you can see it doesn't work. Again, if we think about it, it makes sense. As we previously discussed, After Effects and Illustrator know which nodes correspond to each other in the shape and in the animation. So by flipping the shape, all we did was flip their positions. And when we try to animate them, they will go back to their original positions. So how do we animate this? We're going to manually have to create a left-facing version from the rectangle. I'll use the flipped version as a reference so it looks as similar as possible. And when I'm done, I'll erase it to avoid using the wrong shape. Now if I paste this one, you'll see the animation works correctly as it transforms from the left-facing shape to the rectangle and then to the right-facing one. This is an amazing technique because it allows us to create animated icons like these ones that would have been impossible with normal vector layers. This is also super useful for creating face rigs like this one, which is created entirely by using a few dozen shape layers. The most important thing to understand is how diverse animating with paths can be. Conclusion. As you can see, Paths opens a whole new set of options for animation that go far beyond using the basic transform options available in our layers. But we need to understand how the workflow is structured so we can get the results we want. Animating this way might seem like a lot of hard work, but it will become easier the more you start using it for your animations.